Welcome to the Raw State Podcast. Raw, unfiltered, and real oil-filled talk. The Raw State Podcast.
Charles Hegwald, how are you?
Good. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure.
You're with Gyro Data. Tell us a little bit about what you do there.
I currently do field sales. I started with the company in 2008 as a wireline operator. I transitioned kind of into running our gyros from there, and I've been continental United States, held several positions, but ultimately landed in sales about 2 years ago, and I seem to like it quite a bit.
Nice. So you had to transition from that field life to the city life, huh?
And I've always been more of not necessarily a field guy, but a country boy at heart, and it's definitely a little different, but I like the challenge.
Yeah, it's coming from a small little town in Texas, and coming from the field into a sales position myself. You find that guys they like the straight shooting kind of countryside when you're talking to them. So I think you're kind of hedged for that type of business anyway. So
Right. Yeah. I've never met anybody that didn't prefer honesty. That's for sure.
yeah.
I try to do my best and shoot them straight. Don't just tell them what they want to hear, because that's not always, that's not always what we need to hear. So
Yeah,
try to
that's
think
right.
about how I'd want it laid out to me, and just try to do what's right.
You've seen in the industry. I know that we're kind of still in limbo with the elections. I know before everybody was trying to get a bead on what operators were going to be doing, but everybody was hearing the same thing. Well, let's wait till the election's over. But now it looks like there's not an end in the near sight, but maybe.
Yeah,
What are you seeing out there?
we're starting to see a little pickup out to West Texas, the Delaware, the Permian. A small, slight increase back in the Mid-Con, which I am from Oklahoma, but of course, everybody knows what happened there. It just went to nothing pretty quickly. So I try to spend some time out here helping these guys, and we're starting to see some increases. It's nowhere near where we want to be or hope to be, but we're getting there slowly but surely. Or
Yeah, I think
maybe back in the right direction would be a better word.
Yeah, I think it's trending up, right? So,
Yeah.
I think that I was looking at the rig count week after week, and it's like over the last couple of months, it looks like we've gained about 50 odd rigs. So, activity has picked up somewhat.
Right. Yeah, it's always welcome. That's for sure.
So, gyro data, for those that don't know what you guys do or kind of think they have some kind of idea, you guys were primarily wireline for a long time, but then kind of branched into everything, right?
No, we've never really been your typical wireline company. We are a gyro company at heart, first and foremost. We do have wireline trucks, and we are the last maybe probably not quite 10 years, maybe close, but we've started to venture into more cased hole logging services. But when it comes to like pipe recovery and back off stuff like that, we don't do any of the typical wireline services now. We have caliper tools. We can set your plugs, cement bond logs. We're getting more into that and trying to grow that side. But we only inquired wireline trucks originally to hoist our gyros. We didn't want to continue to lose out on that bit of revenue when we need to hoist our gyros. So I wouldn't. We're getting there. I don't think we ever want to dive deep into the wireline business, but we are branching out a little bit into the services. Especially stuff that will complement our gyro services.
Gotcha.
If somebody wants to set a plug and then have us wearing a whipstock on top of it. That those go hand in hand very nicely. So we try to look for avenues that complement our already in-house services.
Okay. And you've been there quite a long time. How have you survived this through all of these ups and downs? You've been, you just recently, I guess the 2014 fallout, and then you guys have come back. How does Gyro Data do it, or are they doing something different than other service companies in your sector?
Uh, they they've always been very the proper wording, very quick or very open to putting money back into research development, trying to stay ahead of the competition with technologies. And so that's always been, I think, the key to gyro data being as important of a player in the gyro industry. Um, we There's always going to be the competition out there that survives on cheap pricing, and that's not gyro data. We try to survive by having the best technology. Our new spear tools, the solid state tools, they're more accurate than anything I'm aware of on the market. They're quicker than anything I'm aware of on the market, and that's our latest and greatest new. That's how we want to stay relevant. That's how we want to stay on top of everybody's mind, is putting the money back into technology, spend it where it needs to be spent to stay relevant, and not just rely on undercutting people to stay busy. So, and then for myself, I feel like I've kind of managed to hang around as long as I have by just trying to be flexible, trying to be open. If somebody needs a role filled, I don't mind doing my best, attempting it. I haven't always been the best fit, but it's kept me around this long, so I must have done something right. So
Yeah, flexibility is key. I know, talking with guys that have lost their jobs and some that are, have been out of work for some time, you know, and having managed some of these guys, they're not always as flexible as they need to be in certain times. And, it comes down to value. What value are you bringing? Obviously, you're bringing some value to Gyro Data, or they wouldn't continue to keep you. Is the kind of the long and short of it, I guess. And that goes with a lot of companies. Um, I know that there's a lot of guys out there that get you know they get down on themselves when they get in these downturns, and it's hard. The cyclical nature of this industry is something of an anomaly when you talk about other industries. But everybody has them. Everybody deals with ups and downs, supply and demand, and things like that. But I think you're spot on. Flexibility is key for
yeah,
people.
and as much as anything, honestly, probably a lot of it is just lucking into being at the right place at the right time too. I mean, unfortunately, the industry's lost tons of way more talented individuals, probably way more flexible individuals. It's not all just, a lot of it is just luck at times too. So
Yeah,
I don't want to come on here saying that I'll do anything and better than anybody. That's not it at all.
right.
It being flexible and willing to make changes when they benefit the bigger picture definitely has helped. So
So what you guys have seen, seen some activity lately? What are customers? What are they looking for? What are they telling you? Like, are they looking for price cuts? Are they looking for quality? Just what are you kind of seeing out there?
it just depends on the project. It's Everybody always wants to pay less, of course, but there's times where the accuracy just has to be there, and that we still try to do our best to stay competitive price wise. and I feel we do more now than ever. Have done a really good job of it, but sometimes you just can't. There's too many moving pieces, not enough tools. Sometimes you can't get around that a
Yeah.
little bit more of a premium for some of the services, and it just varies project to project, client to client. Some of them are always going to want the absolute cheapest service. Some of them are always going to want the absolute most accurate service. It's everywhere right now. It's definitely haven't been told one thing over the other on a consistent basis. I mean, of course, everybody does want the price reductions. That's just the nature of the beast. But um, it's hit or miss. It just, like I said, depends on the project. And
Yeah. Where do you see the activity, the overall U.S. activity going here in the next 6 months? Do you think we're going to pick up more rigs, or do you think it's going to flatten out?
I wish I knew. I really feel like we're kind of in a little mini boom, maybe. Just that's not really a great word, but I think we're going to ride this out for, I would hope, at least the next 6 months, and if not longer, for sure. But I think with all the uncertainty, of course, yes, we still have the massive stockpile of oil, and COVID's keeping everybody or limiting everybody from traveling as much as they were, a year ago. But I think with the election now somewhat behind us, I think we're going to be riding a little hot streak for a bit, just because we don't know for sure if Biden is going to do the things that he's talked about with the trying to ban fracking. And there's definitely a massive increase in permit filing, which is a pretty good sign. Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully they start acting on their permits and get a lot of these, bring in the rigs, get them drilled. It'd be nice. I really just don't know, honestly. I don't. I have a good feeling, but I've been wrong on plenty of those in the past.
Yeah, we're never completely accurate. I always prognosticate and guess at what's going to happen. There's no telling, and nobody really knows ultimately. I think that there's probably really smart people. I would like to hope there's really smart people surrounding both campaigns, and if Biden does become elected, and that's the way that the cookie crumbles, then I would hope that he's got a think tank around him that knows energy well enough to go, hey, you can't do that,
Right? Yeah, that's not going to work.
and that's not going to work. And historically, if you look at oil prices across Democratic, uh, across the Democratic ruling of the states, it's actually oil prices do fairly well under Democrat rules. So I I don't know. I don't think that he's going to be able to transition away from oil and gas. I mean, I know for a fact, unless they start making windmills and solar panels out of bamboo, I'm
Yeah,
not really worried. So
right, right.
I think that a lot of it's posturing and playing to certain people, progressive sides of their of his party, and he's got to try to appease a bunch of people.
Yeah,
I don't know how it's going to go, but I know that a lot of our customers are talking the same ways. Like, we're just going to pick up rigs regardless. Now we're kind of past all of this. We don't really care who's in there as long as oil prices keep slightly increasing. We feel better about it. And I see oil was up around $45. So it looks like anyway. It looks like we're kind of heading in a positive direction, and I think that overall people are just getting tired of sitting at home. As COVID is a whole other. We talk about it a lot on the podcast. We've talked about it several times, but how is it affecting? I mean, you're in sales, right? So
yes.
how does COVID affect your strategy for closing sales?
It has definitely made it tough. I wasn't in sales too awfully long before this hit. It's been now we're coming up on about half my sales career. I've only been doing this a couple of years now, the sales side of it, but it's definitely made it very tough to get in front of people. There, no, you're very limited on who you can see. A lot of Skype calls, a lot of stuff like that. Locations are they were starting to open up some, it seemed, and it's kind of going back the other way now. They're starting to lock back down, tighter restrictions on who can come in, who can come out. It's just made it really tough. It's you you send all the emails you can, and quite frankly, everybody's just so busy that if, unless you unless they need you, sometimes they don't reply at all. So it's definitely challenging. I sure be ready when this stuff's all taken care of and gone.
Yeah.
Just a bad memory.
Yeah, I know it's made it tough to get in front of people. And I think that, changing your strategy to a more digital type, strategy of and direction of getting in front of people via text, phone, Skype, Zoom, all these different methods. I mean, the face-to-face meetings from what from what I'm seeing, I don't see a lot of companies. If we stick these lockdowns any longer, I don't see a lot of these companies really opening their offices back up for vendors. Like,
Yeah,
I think that,
if it's worked this long for them, I'm afraid that you're correct there. They've done well enough through this time of not letting people in that there's not going to be a lot of incentive for them to start letting people back in, even with it gone. So I'm afraid you're right there. It's
yeah,
definitely going to be a new era.
it might be, there's a couple of things that are going on. I mean, the industry events are something that I think that may have a resurgence of people attending these events since they're not able to have vendors come in, at a normal clip. They're probably going to be looking to go out to these events and see these booths and stuff, which is great for, guys like Shale Energy Resources. Those guys are doing events again, and I talked to Jeff over there, and they say that they're seeing a need for it even stronger coming back. So you may see people just saying, "Hey, I'm going to go play at this golf event and go see these vendors."
Right.
And that would be good for the suppliers in the market.
Yes, absolutely. If we can get the right people there and just not have a mass gathering of service companies hanging out with service companies, yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah, that's always the problem. Is
Yeah.
that there's ten operators there out of 1,000 service
Right. Yeah.
companies. Yeah, it's pretty funny. So for what's in the future, what do you guys have coming down the pipe? What's exciting happening at Gyro Data?
For sure, our Spear, the solid state technology, it's uh it's by far the biggest thing we have going on right now. Uh, it's it's hands down a game changer. We're building these tools as fast as we can, and the spinning mass gyro was always very accurate,
Uh huh.
but they was very susceptible to shock and vibration. With the new solid state gyro, we have been able to get the accuracy that we always have, if in some cases better, and not we've removed the downside of being susceptible to shock and vibration, so we can get closer to the bit. We can still survey at all the altitudes and all the it's a game changer. I can't say enough good things about it. if anybody's interested, it's on our website. Take a look. It's where it's where we feel the future of all downhole surveying is going.
Okay.
The quicker survey times, smaller packages. There's just endless benefits to it. It's great. Very exciting.
And a lot of customers are looking at wellbore quality and wellbore placement as key components in their construction phases now. So I think that wellbore placement and more accurate placement, I guess,
Absolutely.
is the key, right?
Yeah. If we can get the hole straighter, more accurate, it's money saved, time saved. There's, like I say, there's endless benefits. You're not missing your target. You're not pulling back to backtrack. You're this. It goes on and on. It's always been a struggle to understand why some people or some companies didn't place the emphasis on the accuracy when they was drilling them, and it's just kind of ended up they kind of pass the drilling guys pass the buck on to the production side, and vice versa, the completions. But it's there a lot of them are starting to realize now, hey, if we lose a day here drilling it, but end up with a straighter well, less tortuous well, we're gonna save a ton of money for the company in the long run. It's starting to come around, starting to be well known, and there's several articles that have been published lately on the importance of less tortuous wells when it comes to your artificial lift, your pumps, your rod strings. I mean, I don't want to sit here and make this about gyro data and a sales pitch, but it's definitely worth the day or two here or there to get your well as straight as possible and as accurate as possible in the long run, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's widely accepted that wellbore quality is a huge component. I think the problem has historically has been that you have companies that with different objectives. So if you have a small independent driller that's going out there and says, I'm going to develop this field just to get the assets online, and then I'm going to sell the field, those guys may not be as keen to care about the quality of the well bore for the life cycle of the well,
Absolutely.
and really don't care about what they're giving to the people that buy it. But then if you're Exxon Mobil or you're Chevron and you go and buy that field, and then you look back at the surveys and you look at at the production decline curve, and you go like, man, we just bought a bunch of junk.
Yeah.
And I mean, then that's when it matters. But then you have companies that are building these assets for the long term, right? They're going to be our assets. We care about the placement. We care about the formation. We care about the cement quality. And when you have those kind of objectives, then you tend to get the customer is inquisitive about, okay, I care about tortuosity, I care about wellbore quality, I care about cement bond, I care about these things, right?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. One of the biggest costs of drilling a well is obviously the rig sitting out there. So the drilling guys have all had their bonuses or their next project coming up based off of drill the well as quickly as possible, and it doesn't always equate to the best well, for sure. So
Yeah.
the motor companies want to set their drilling records, fastest lateral drilled, quickest, shortest curve drilled, all this, and this usually doesn't equate to the best well down the
Yeah.
road, years down the road. So
Well, what's on the horizon for you think that we're going to see more of these ducks completed? You think you're going to see a lot of production guys go back to work, or?
man, I hope so. I really don't know. I'm traveling the roads out here. It seems like I'm starting to see more frac crews out set up on location. So I feel that I don't. I think it's going to be quite a while before they get caught up. But
Yeah.
Um, they're going to have to at some point. The money's spent to drill them. They're going to have to produce them, but I don't know that it'll ever be back to 100 frac crews running across the nation or anything like that.
Right.
I hope I'm wrong, but it's this the days of the the frac crews being as busy as they was, and all the big completion jobs, the pump down perf jobs. I'm hearing that it's not necessarily gone forever, but it's not going to be as big as a player as it was. Maybe it's
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that the days we've become too efficient with the process, and
right.
I think the days of needing. I mean, I in the last downturn in 2015, I wrote an article and I said that if we ever get above 750 rigs again, we're going to be in trouble. And then 2017, 2018 came, and we're back at 1,200 rigs, and it's just too many rigs. We'll just keep drilling ourselves into laying rigs down. I think I don't see that we're ever going to see the booms now are not going to go back to the 1,000 rig levels. I think a boom now may go from 400 rigs to 700 rigs.
Right. Yeah.
But if we ever get above in the U.S. that 750 mark, I think we're looking for trouble.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
so, yeah, it's hard, because everybody's like drill, baby, drill, and all of that. But there has to be some kind of capitalism is a great level the playing field, right? So, I mean, it's done that quite well with these guys going out and just picking up rigs, as fast as they can. We find ourselves in a position where we're just out drilling ourselves.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, we run out of we get too much. So all the oil that we have in storage now is kind of it's that's where we're at. It takes something like COVID to really put the brakes on everything for quite some time. It takes longer to catch back up. You end up
Yeah.
working yourself out of a job, unfortunately.
And I'm starting to see. I drive around Houston quite a bit, and I mean, traffic's back up. There's people on the freeways.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we kind of went around. Me and my wife went around one weekend, and we said, let's go ask some questions at these RV places and see if they're selling RVs. Because that's usually an indication that the economy's doing fairly well as people are spending, money on things like that they don't necessarily need. And we were laughing because the guy at the RV place, he said the diesel pushers won't last 2 days on their lots, and
Wow.
sometimes they can't even wash them. He said a used one will come in and we can't even wash it and it's sold.
Nice.
And I said, really? Like what? And he said, we've sold more RVs than I've ever seen, and he's been selling them for 20 years. So, and I'm sitting here going, well, if they're selling these things, and these things are, these things are 9 miles to the gallon, right?
Yes.
And
That's crazy.
they're burning 900 gallons of diesel. Like, people are actually spending money on this stuff. And I don't know if it's because they're tired of maybe the COVID and all this scare has got them to the point where they're like, let's just go out and travel and do things that we promised we would do, but we were waiting on, and we're not going to wait any longer. Or people are just kind of blowing this off and saying, you know what, I don't believe that we're going down under, and I have confidence in the economy, and I have confidence in the country, and we're just going to go on as like it's business as usual. I don't know what it is, but I know that there's a lot of people out there still driving around and going to places. I know it may not be the level that it was prior to COVID, but
Right.
definitely it looks like it's picking up.
Yeah, for sure. And we need the airlines to get busy again and the cruise ships out there sailing again too, which, it's not a great time with everybody
Yeah.
being close quarters, but that'll definitely help put a dent in the stockpile as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you heard about this? I think Delta Airlines was starting it. It was they're starting this. Basically, you have to have a certification that you've gotten the COVID vaccine before they'll let you fly, like to internationally or something. I was reading an article about it, but it
Yeah, I don't.
looks like they're moving towards, these airlines are kind of moving towards this certification thing where you get a stamp that you've been COVID vaccinated. You know?
Yeah, and that's. I'm definitely not a. It's a touchy subject. I mean, I'm all for getting this thing taken care of, putting it behind us, but when you start telling people, and not just the flying, they're talking about the kids, some of the kids having to have it to go back to school, college students, and that's a pretty fine line. You get yourself, you really upset a lot of people. I'm not an anti-vaxxer by any means. I vaccinated my children, but there's plenty of them out there. You kind of get yourself in a lot of trouble when you start taking away um, liberties or freedoms
Yeah,
based on having to have a vaccine. So I don't know how they're gonna make that work right. I hope it's something I never have to worry about, and that everybody
yeah.
just does what they need to do, and we get this stuff behind us. But I think it's going to be a quite quite the struggle, I'm afraid.
Yeah, because I just don't see the numbers lining up for it. And I'm a numbers guy, so I look at the numbers and I'm like, I don't see a death rate in my I guess I would say in my age and my grouping. I don't see a death rate of 30 or 40%. I see it at 0.002. And I'm like, if that's the if we're setting the bar that if I get this, I'm 99.975% going to survive it, then
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I, I'm, that's what I'm judging things on. So I don't let fear drive me
No,
like a lot of people, but
we can't. I'm the same
no.
way. We can't. If that was the case, I wouldn't. I'd be walking everywhere. So it
Yeah.
just we
Yeah.
have to be cautious and careful, but we can't we can't live in fear all the time. I don't think it's any way to live, honestly. So just yes, we have to be careful and do what's right and be smart about it. But we we was born without shells for a reason. So
Yeah.
God
That's
didn't give
right.
us turtle shells. So you know,
Well,
but it's
Charles, what are you seeing out there for people looking to get into the oil field? Are you guys starting to look at hiring people, or
uh
what?
yeah. In the Permian, we've brought a couple guys back, and actually brought on a couple new wireline hires. Right now, I believe it's about the only place, and as far as North America, that I know that we've actively hired recently. Well, I just don't. I think it's still a little early for that. I know people are hiring, but I don't know yet of what would be the leading industry for, say, kids looking to start college. Um, I used to feel like it was engineering, but I just read a story about a bunch of engineers and uh, geotechs getting sent home. So I really don't know what the next best career would be for someone, say starting school. I don't think that it's by any means a lot of what we're hearing a dead industry, and people would be dumb to go pay for school to end up in the industry. I think that's doom and gloom. I think oil, it won't ever be back like it was in the heyday, but I don't think it's by any means gone in the next. I've probably not gone in my lifetime, and I'm still fairly young, anyways. I'm under 40 still, so I think I got at least a couple more years of it. But I just don't. If my boys ask me, I wouldn't know what to tell them today. I don't know honestly what would be a good role for them, for someone that's starting out and wanting to, have a role that they can depend on retiring from. Sadly, I don't know. But
Yeah, I think it's a.
I wouldn't shy away from the industry though.
No, I think you're right. I think that, definitely it's retracted, and I think it's going to stay retracted to what most people in the industry understand the size of it to be. I mean, when I joined the industry, which was, 20, well, it's almost 27 years ago. Um, the industry in directional drilling in particular was very small. The market share for directional drilling at that time was, 7-8% of
Right.
all wells, and so the that side and that sector was very tiny, and you kind of knew everybody, and I don't think it's going to go back to that. Well, definitely not in the directional part, because I've seen it flip.
Yeah, I mean
Go to 98%, 96% directional. But I think that the industry won't go back to the size that we saw, in the mid 2000s.
right.
I don't think we're going to see that again.
No, I don't either. And so much, so many roles are becoming automated. Um, it's really hard to say what would be a safe bet in, you know, 10, 15 years from now. It's tough. There's always going to be the need to have people working in the industry. It's really tough to tell where they'll be needed. You know,
Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't think we would see the day where we'd have a fully automated rig, but it wasn't long ago I read about. I believe there's one setting for sale. I want to say it was up in Canada right now. They're saying it's fully automated, so it'd be interesting to see for
yeah.
sure.
Well, Charles, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, Chris, thanks for having me, buddy.
And how's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Uh, LinkedIn would be a good way. They can call depending on where they're located, they can look us up on the web, gyrodata.com, call our offices. However, we're not hard to find, that's for sure.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
LinkedIn is, we're pretty,
Pretty active.
yeah, very active
Okay.
on LinkedIn. So that's probably the best way.
Okay. Well, hey, thanks again for being on the show, and the best of luck to you guys and Gyro Data, and we'll be watching and keeping track of your progress.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. It was my pleasure.
Okay. Thanks, Charles.
Thank you.